this operation, if it was about safety, if it was about finding the worst of the worst, there is a different way that they would have carried out, not by going into establishments that are owned by Somali Minnesotans, not by going to masjids or mosques, not by going into neighborhoods that we frequent. This is clearly racial profiling, ethnic profiling, and it's to intimidate us. But Somalis are resilient. We've been through a lot. We have overcome a lot. And we're not easily intimidated or easily bullied. We know what our rights are. The president gets upset that I tell him that he needs to abide by the Constitution. Is because that Constitution means a lot to us. We're people who've experienced what it means to have rights stripped from you. So we cling on to the fact that we are protected by the Constitution. ISIS's own policy, ICE could not arrest and detain U.S. citizens. Did they give you a reason for your legal detention? And do you remember what the actual agency that made the arrest was?
They said when they arrested us that they were arresting us for obstructing a federal operation, but...
And do you know to this day if you've been charged with anything?
No, to this day I've not been charged with anything. There were no cars in front of them. We weren't blocking them in. We weren't at an active ICE raid. They also never identified themselves as ICE. It didn't say that on their uniforms. So,
do you recall if you were fully booked? Like fingerprinted, photos taken?
We were not fingerprinted. Our photos were not taken. No.
So just held hostage and then released, essentially?
Yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Mayel, is there any constitutional way in which these arrests are legally possible by ICE and border agents when it comes to legal residents and citizens?
Well, I mean, for any arrest, I mean, someone can be arrested for unlawful activity. But I mean, what we are seeing is far from that. You know, at the sites of some of this activity with observers and protesters, these are chaotic scenes. But we are seeing actions from the government that are escalating, that are violent, that are not disciplined, that are not using any proper rules of engagement. And citizens, observers, protesters, Minnesotans are rightfully upset about what they're seeing. Seeing people murdered, they're seeing people shot at, they're seeing people dragged from their homes and from cars, and they're coming out. And for the most part, what we're seeing is escalation from DHS forces.
Yeah. Thank you. And Chief McCarthy, we in Minneapolis, we're seeing arrests being made at gas stations, cars being left behind. The mayor testified to one car being left on as the person was detained, rolling into the street. Is that a normal behavior for law enforcement when they make an arrest for them to leave vehicles running or to leave vehicles at the site of the arrest?
Thank you for the question, ma'am. No, it is not.
And why is that?
Well, because we are responsible for the welfare and safety of everybody, including the people that we arrest. And people have a right to be secure in their persons and property. Part of that is us securing their property and making sure that it's not subject to another crime, such as theft or a traffic issue.
And do you know any training that would allow local or federal law enforcement to leave these vehicles where they've been left?
I can only speak to local or statewide, and no, that is contrary to our training and policy.
And Mr. Hussein, you heard the testimonies of citizens only holding areas. You spoke to the trauma of being a refugee who comes from war-torn country. What do you think it is psychologically, this occupation is psychologically doing to people who already hold a lot of trauma?
Thank you for that. As we know, Somali Americans are about 98% permanent residents or U.S. citizens. What we are seeing is those U.S. citizens being harassed at work, whether they're driving Uber, whether they're going to work. We also know that people are afraid to go out because being Somali now means you're at risk of being stopped. And that is something that the entire community is sharing. And we're seeing our businesses now, some of our business owners saying that about 70% of their customers are not returned. This is a widely impacting our community. But at the same time, I've also seen the resiliency in my community. I've seen just last night meeting with young leaders in Cedar Riverside who are standing up, who are declaring their Americanism and fighting back, and that is also inspiring. I saw the same in St. Cloud, where these young people and community are waking up to realizing they're learning about their rights, they're executing their rights, and they're standing up. And for the first time, I think for Minnesotans, we are coming together as a state, as a community. Renee Good is a symbol of hope, is a symbol of the countless people that Amelia talked about who are out every single day standing up for their neighbors. And many people across this country do not know how great Minnesota is. And my father always says that we came to a cold place, but we found a place with people with warm hearts, and that is true. And so we are coming together in this moment in such big ways.
Thank you.
One statement just set off a political firestorm in America. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is now under intense backlash after suggesting communities could be safer without ICE. And within minutes, Republicans fired back hard, calling it dangerous, reckless, and completely out of touch. This comes as tensions around immigration enforcement are already at a boiling point, with recent incidents involving ICE operations fueling outrage on both sides. So the question is this about public safety or politics pushed too far? Omar has previously criticized ICE, accusing the agency of aggressive enforcement and calling for major reforms, even opposing funding unless accountability measures are added. But critics say removing or weakening ICE could put communities at risk and undermine law enforcement nationwide. Now, both sides are digging in, and the divide is only going to get deeper. Welcome back to my channel. Thanks for sticking with us. If you're new here, do let us know where you're watching us from. Hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you never miss a video. Video credit goes to the original creators for every video used in this episode. Let's get into the video. I'll be right back with more commentaries.
Now is a lot of heat on your state. Treasury Secretary Bessent called Minnesota ground zero for what may be the most egregious welfare scam in our nation's history to date. 85 of the 98 people who were charged by the Justice Department with this welfare scheme are Somali. And you know this. The Treasury Secretary is probing whether any of the money was somehow funneled outside the country. He actually issued new standards. He's going to make it make someone disclose if they receive public assistance when they try to wire money out of the country, and he's lowered the bar for suspicious activity. What is the practical impact of doing that in the community?
It's just creating fear. What they are doing is creating confusion, chaos, trying to intimidate people from being able to exercise their regular, normal activities that they would. There is no justification in any of the things that they say.
So is fraud just a regular activity that now people can't resume?
The 87 people that you've described as being investigated, many of them adjudicated, all happened under the Biden administration. There is no justification for this search. We know that ICE has the ability to conduct raids. Yeah. There is no reason to have over 2,000 people coming in to our city and creating the level of terror that they have created.
Well, the administration argues that they have to do it because the state failed to, right?
The federal government and the state have been working peacefully together and have brought justice to these 87 people that you've described. None of this search that they have conducted has produced any sort of criminal activity. They haven't been able to charge anyone as of yet.
I want you guys to pay attention to her next answer about how many times she says or She's not the greatest English speaker, probably because it's not her first language, but she doesn't have great assurance in what she's saying. It's like she's really calculating her words. Watch how many times she says or I'm going to count it in the corner.
Announced they're going to cut food stamps to Minnesota because they say some of the food stamp money had been embezzled here. Are you
and those are the things that are being litigated, and it is, again, unconstitutional for them to do so.
Are you confident that the fraud that has been discovered is no longer being conducted now? Is there any justification for saying this food stamp money is somehow being misused?
Yeah, there are ways to investigate fraud, which we have been doing in Minnesota, which the federal government has been doing under the Biden administration, there is no reason for them to use this level of rhetoric. There is no reason for them to fully stop funding these programs. The only reason they are doing that is for PR purposes, and it is harming our state. It is harming my constituents, and it is creating the kind of chaos and confusion that no one needs in this moment.
Okay, but if you listen to her previous one, she was just mumbling, stumbling, saying, disappointing. The one time I say, hey, pay attention to the she just talks so perfectly. Come on, Sean, you got to do better.
Because the administration and many conservative allies of the administration argue that this is still ongoing. There was that conservative influencer who went out and posted this video that went viral alleging that daycare facilities were pocketing public funds.
Yeah, and as you know, he went hours where these businesses were not operating.
Yep, CBS went out and did its own
again
investigation.
Creates the level of confusion and chaos that is not necessary in a moment when we are trying to deal with a serious problem that needs serious people to be able to address it.
So now we have politicians openly admitting that if they're elected, they're going to warn people about ICE doing their job.
Have a better communication between the mayor and the chief, and also the city council members, so that whenever we know something's coming down the pike, that city council is alerted immediately, because they're the connection point to community, and they can articulate that and disseminate that information to folks. I think that's really important.
As Minnesota, what are you doing? You're going to elect someone that's not going to prioritize law and order and the benefit of what? Being seen as a woke white person? Like, how did Minnesota become an annex location for Somalians? How did that happen? Like, who was involved? Why were they involved? What money did they get? This needs to be investigated. He's openly saying he's going to do his best to protect people who are breaking the law.
This isn't just another political debate. It's a full-blown clash over safety, immigration, and the future of enforcement in America. Do you think communities are safer without ICE, or is this a step too far? Drop your thoughts below, because this conversation is just getting started. If you value conversations that go deeper than headlines, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on your notifications so you never miss future discussions. This channel exists because of you, and conversations like this matter because you engage. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay compassionate, and most importantly, stay active in the dialogue. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.